type out at least the beginning part so that I understand the things. And you have to format it so that it does the stuff.
Holy shit. I have no idea what you're doing. Like a script?
No, it's gonna be fine. Welcome to the first ever Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast, episode number 1, where we will talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, and of course, political discourse. I am your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
Hello.
Wow, you are really gonna win him over.
It's still pretty buzzy.
I'm gonna murder you. I'm gonna murder you. And we haven't even gotten the technical difficulties. We're gonna forge through it. Episode 2 is gonna be like 200% better. Right?
Yeah, awesome.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, we're doing this for the fans.
Okay.
Doing it for the fans. Today we're gonna talk about Star Trek, The Expanse, No Man's Sky, and none of the other things that I said that we were going to talk about. Most certainly not political discourse.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared for these topics.
So, this is going to be kind of a very space-centered episode, which will probably not continue, but it might.
I feel like there's going to be more.
So let's first talk about Star Trek. There's a lot of things going on in Star Trek. Star Trek just had a new movie come out, Star Trek 3, number 2. Some people call it Star Trek Beyond. I have not seen it. You have.
You want me to just talk about it?
Yeah, do it.
I don't really have all that much to say. I mean, it's pretty terrible. It's I guess like the weird thing to me is that people I had seen that it had been referred to as being sort of a return to classic Trek form, and I didn't really see that very much. I mean, the movie opens on like a fairly decent scene where it's just Kirk walking around the Enterprise, and there's a voiceover of him, talking about the ship and the crew and the mission and what they've been doing, and that was cool. But that was really the only thing in the entire movie that felt like Star Trek, like original, Trek. Beyond that, it's the same, it's the same crap we've seen in the first movie and in Into Darkness. Yeah.
Even worse.
So, so I don't consider it really any better or worse than the other two Abrams movies. I guess like if I had to rank them, I would probably put the first Abrams movie at the top, and then this one, and then Into Darkness.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to get too much into it because the Abrams verse always gets my blood pressure up. Could it have been more Star Trek if they didn't blow up the Enterprise again?
Potentially. I mean, that certainly wasn't the worst offense. You know what? Actually, one of the things that really irritates me about this verse is like, and near the beginning of this movie, it opens on a joke. Just like Into Darkness, where you open up and Kirk's running away. I think with Bones, right? Kirk and Bones are running away from that tribe of people who worship a piece of paper or whatever, while Spock's trying to save them from a volcano that's about to erupt. And it's just like, it's just kind of a zany, stupid joke throughout the entire thing. There's a lot of like slapstick, and this movie opens up in much the same manner, and it reminds me of the way Star Trek V opened up with the whole jet boots fiasco, which was painful But I feel like that crew and that series earned that sort of levity, and this series hasn't. Like it doesn't feel like Abrams has ever taken Star Trek seriously, and it's sort of salt in the wound to open up with these just ridiculous, jokey scenes.
Well, and I think he said he's way more into Star Wars, right. which can probably be seen by the more, say, positive and open response that his Star Wars movie got.
Yeah.
Compared to how a lot of Trek fans feel about the Abrams verse. Not saying all of them.
Yeah.
But I mean a lot. And in a lot of ways, I think he tried to kind of turn Star Trek into Star Wars, and then at the same time, he probably felt like it was kind of silly because there's always been that weird, do you like Star Trek or Star Wars? It's like I like both, yeah. But as I get older, I like Star Trek more because there's more going on. All right, I'm not gonna talk anymore about that.
Okay, conversation over.
Conversation over. Cut. The wrap. No, there's two other things going on in Star Trek, and they may be related. Star Trek Discovery, which is the official thing that CBS wants us to pay for next year, and Star Trek Axanar, which is the extremely unofficial fan film
CBS
that
does not want
basically
us to pay
is. Yeah. So we'll get into how these two are probably related just briefly, but let's talk about Star Trek Discovery. Okay. You've seen the trailers. You've read
the one, right? There's just the one with the ship coming out of the dock or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. And everybody lost their mind.
Yeah. It looks weird.
Because it was a circle and a triangle and some rods. Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah.
No strong feelings there?
No, I don't know. It's a weird design. That's my entire opinion about it, though. I don't care much beyond that. I understand it's an early design, one of the early disused or rejected designs for the Enterprise.
So, when they were talking about doing Star Trek Phase 2, or it might have been actually Star Trek the Motion Picture, which was born out of the Phase 2 kind of creative process, it was one of the concept sketches. It wasn't exactly. Actually, this one does look better than the concept sketches. You can find it pretty easily. Just type in rejected Star Trek Starship or Enterprise designs, and it'll probably be the first thing that comes up. Honestly, when I saw it, I looked at it and I'm like, well, that's not like a good looking ship.
No.
But at the same time, I don't watch Star Trek because the ship looks sexy. Yeah. And even if you were to talk about like the Enterprise D, it's not my favorite by any means. It's kind of actually got this awkwardly large saucer section, and I don't know. I don't love all the smoothness.
Which one is the D?
TNG, Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
I've always been
because they're in the E in First Contact, right? Is that the first time we see that ship? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't know. It's not about the ship. It's going to be about the crew. We did learn a little bit about the crew, and that is that I guess the main character is not going to be all that important.
Well, they're not going to it sounds like it's not going to be centered around a captain, but a lieutenant, I guess.
Yeah, which is better than an ensign, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting approach.
And it's not like it can't be done,
Yeah.
but I don't think we're going to get the return to form. Like I at this point, what I would love is a ship and a crew, and we go on adventures, and that
Yeah.
would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not sure that's what we're going to get. I think what we're going to get is probably closer to one big story arc
Yeah.
like a Battlestar Galactica, and I don't know. I mean, it could be interesting watching essentially a 10-hour movie,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure that's what I want to do with Star
I don't
Trek.
know. I mean, the other, other series of, I mean, DS9 obviously had some of that with the Dominion War. I mean, mostly in the later seasons, and then the third, my God, the third season of Enterprise, uh, which was all Xindi all the time. Um, so I mean, it's we've seen at least a something of that structure.
We have, but and actually that was one of the things that when in the first run when DS9 was coming out, I didn't like a lot of the Dominion War stuff. And it seemed like every time I turned it on, it was Dominion War. And it was just like it was just too much.
That is madness.
And
I
I
love
like,
the Dominion War.
eh, we can we can disagree as we do on a lot of things. But if you go back and watch it, I mean, you've got the Dominion War, and they'll talk about it, but it's like Dominion War is going on, and the Ferengi are are being weird because the Grand Nagus wants to allow women to wear
Right.
clothes, and then Dax gets married to Worf,
Yeah.
and then they return to it, and then they're playing baseball on the holodeck. It's like you have a lot
Yeah.
of breaks in
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely. And there's always like a lot of times there's sort of a B, or there's an A plot, I guess, and the B plot is generally whatever's going on with the Dominion a lot of times. It's almost like Burn
Yeah,
Notice, where there's an A story, and then in the background at the beginning of the episode, they address what happened in the last episode, and then they do something different, and then at the end of the episode you find out, you know, more about Michael's being burned and stuff like that. So I wonder if it's, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like that though. I think we're going to get like 12 episodes of one story.
yeah. We learned a couple of other things, and that was uh, that apparently there's going to be lots of diversity
Yeah, great.
on on the crew, and like it was weird reading it because for me, as I'm reading it, it's like we are so centered on everybody just playing the whole I want my person on Star Trek that it's actually curiously like anti Star Trek because like I don't care who's on it. I don't care that Julian is an Arab. I don't care that Worf is a black guy. I don't even think about it until people start getting crazy about it. And I sure as heck don't care who they sleep with. Actually, it was even shocking that time that oh no, I always forget his name. Who's the Asian guy on Voyager?
Harry Kim. Harry
Kim.
He was a person.
That episode.
He was a person for
That episode where they start and he's sleeping with some alien on a freighter. It was just like,
yeah.
oh yeah, people have sex in the Star Trek
Yeah,
universe.
I kind of wish they didn't, like at all, but
they all sleep with their clothes on, fully dressed. ready to go to the bridge at any time.
There
Shoes
never appear to be any
included.
sheets or anything like that either. They just sleep on a mat.
Yeah.
And it's really depressing.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. How did you feel
I
about
don't
all that?
care.
I know it's a lot of
I don't
tertiary
really
stuff.
care. I think
You
no,
don't
I
care.
don't. I think that I don't know. I mean, it's one of the things that Trek has a reputation for. Uhura, and then female captain and Janeway. None of that. I mean, none of that's really why anybody watches or likes Star Trek. But I mean, it's good. It's good marketing, I guess, which is all I ever feel like it's about at the end of the day. Like, watch our show because it's Star Trek and we're super diverse and progressive, and it's a nice article on the internet.
I guess. It just it just feels so intentional that it seems self-defeating to me. I get
I
disappointed.
guess.
The egalitarian in me.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have any strong feelings. Again, it's like the ship to me. I don't care who's on it or what the ship looks like or what the ship's sexual preference is. I just hope that it is a decent show. And that's really all it has to be. Is just decent.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, all it has to do is at least survive a couple of seasons.
That would be great. And then we would have Trek sort of back on TV, kind of.
Not even on TV, because it's going to be on CBS, all access. Yeah. Give us $5 a month for one channel. And CBS is very confident in its programming because I believe they are charging, what is it like? Isn't that half what HBO costs? Or is HBO
I
to
think
15
HBO
now?
is like 15. But still, I mean, it's right around what Netflix and Hulu charge, which is obviously there's a lot more content on both of those.
Yeah.
And CBS. I don't know. I did think it was interesting. I might be wrong about this, but isn't it true that I think Next Gen, like they had a hard time finding a network for Next Gen for a long time, and they actually sold it as like syndicated or something like that, and then it was Did it show up on Fox ever, or did they just shop it to Fox? And because Fox was like a newer channel, I don't remember. Fox was a newer channel around that time, but then obviously you have Enterprise 2, which I think was on UPN or something. So I mean, I guess it's not unique this time around that Star Trek is being used to try to launch almost a brand new channel. I don't know that this is the best way to...
but
I don't know it's gonna work.
Keep in mind, in 85 or 86, when Next Gen came out, you could basically throw up an antenna and you could get a Fox channel in most of the country. And there wasn't the internet to let you know what you were missing. I mean, there was, but it's for the nerds.
Like 7 people.
Yeah, pretty much. There's been a lot of speculation to move over to the Axanar link here. Axanar takes place just before the original series.
Okay.
Discovery takes place just before the original series.
Is it? It is just before. Okay, I forgot that.
So there are some conspiracy theorists out there, and it's not completely baseless, who think that Axanar, which is being sued for using crowdfunding and making too much money and giving away stuff, is actually being sued because Star Trek Discovery wants that space. And maybe the studios don't want the competition.
Yeah, I guess so. It feels a little bit like DS9 Babylon 5 conspiracy theories a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Axanar is like what one? Well, there's Prelude, and then there's the movie, and I don't think there's really anything beyond that, is there?
I think the movie was going to be shot as 2 or 3 hour-long
Okay.
segments.
Okay.
So I mean, kind of like a mini series.
I don't know. I guess that's possible. It's weird to think that a fan anything would be competition for the production company. Um,
Well, you've seen it. I
it's
mean,
good. Yeah, I mean it's good and everything, but I don't know. I feel like the nerd in you, whatever Axanar does is not canon, and
well,
that's important beyond all else for many of us. So I you would just look at I would think most people would approach Axanar like it is a fan production and alt reality, I guess, if you have to try to put it in context of anything else.
well, at the end of the day, who really cares what the big canon is, right?
Yeah.
Especially after we're talking about Star Trek, they rebooted the entire
Yeah.
universe, and now we're into you know Worf's parallels theory of there's one universe over here and there's another reality
Yeah.
over here. And I mean, it's all really about we're gonna watch a show or a movie or whatever you want to call a web series, and is it enjoyable
Yeah.
or not? And I would have really enjoyed seeing Axanar. I still hope to see Axanar.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it is weird that of all of the fan productions, Axanar is singled out. So
Yeah, because I mean, there are 42 years of fan films
yeah.
out there. I think the first one was made in 1972 or something like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I bet it was quality.
I'd
Um,
love to see it.
I would sit down and watch it if it was the first. I'm sure. Oh man, can you imagine the
I bet
effects?
they're amazing. Maybe it's all models. Maybe it's really good.
Maybe. Um, but I mean, you look at it, and the guidelines pretty much single out no particular fan
Yeah.
film in particular. I mean, you got crowdfunding going on all over
Yeah.
the place. You got original Star Trek actors appearing in these spin-offs. You have uh, people making their own props, their own sets. You have people. I mean, everything. It it just kind of looks like they were trying to shut everything down.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Hopefully, it isn't the case. We got a couple of other things to talk about, though. So,
Okay.
well, we said we are going to talk about it. So let's talk briefly about another
Okay.
TV show, Place in Space, The
Yeah.
Expanse. This is a show that you made me
Yes.
watch.
You are a better person for
Do
it now.
you want to add anything to that?
No, it's good. It's surprisingly good. I had never heard of the books that it was based on, but I mean, it feels like it's been pretty well thought out, which must help. Uh, so yeah, I like it. I don't know. I think it's really good. The world building part of it, I think, is just fantastic.
So I agree, and actually, I'm glad that you brought my attention to it. I would encourage all one of our listeners to go out and to go watch it at their earliest possible convenience.
Absolutely.
It's only 10 episodes, um, and I'd say solidly 7 of them are
Yeah.
good. Um, I'm a little worried about where they're going at the very end, but certainly it was to me very interesting to watch people react to a near future space travel in remarkably human ways. Like, things go wrong on ships, things go wrong in space, and people react like human beings.
Yeah. It
doesn't feel so much like acting most of the time. It just seems right.
Yeah, it does. It feels natural. And I don't know. I wonder if part of it's because it's focused on some pretty like everyday things. Like I mean, a lot like watching them engage in ice mining of asteroids,
Yeah.
and that something goes wrong and the guy loses his arm in the process. It's just interesting to see that kind of like almost like that quotidian like sort of industrial aspect to space travel. Nobody's shooting lasers at aliens or anything. They're trying to mine ice.
Yeah, and other than the deputy secretary general or whatever her title is, everyone in the show has basically a fairly low level in society.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of ice road truckers. You've got a cop. We all understand cops. There's crime today.
Good point.
And then you get the occasional sprinkling in of some miners and some gutter trash too. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't want to give too much of it away. It's basically Earth, Mars, and the people who live in the asteroid belt, and kind of get the big picture of how these people have grown apart due to massive distances and several generations of, you might argue, economic exploitation.
Sure. I think that's one of the arguments for sure.
Watch it. It's a good TV show. Come back. Tell us what you think.
Please.
We'll move quickly on to our last subject. This is going to be the first time that Midget Radio and I have talked about this after he's played the game. But No Man's Sky, the controversial game by Hello Games, featuring an infinite procedurally generated universe of brightly colored science fiction nonsense.
So yeah, I've seen like some stuff on the internet that there have been some negative reviews and negative reactions to No Man's Sky, and I'm completely unaware of what they are, and there's part of me that almost doesn't want to know because I'm enjoying the game fairly well, playing it just as I'm playing it now, and I kind of don't want the internet to ruin it for me.
So I should probably not tell you
I guess. How do you feel about it?
Listeners. So, let me first talk about the big fuss, and that is depending on where you get your list, a long list or a much shorter list of things promised and or implied and or wanted that were not included in the game at launch. I think a lot of people have been complaining about the lack of multiplayer, which was, I mean, never exactly promised, but yes, kind of. I mean, Sean Murray did legitimately say that if you arrive at a planet and there's another person on it, that's the only way you can see what you look like. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care. I don't want anyone on my planet. And if there was a person, I would either turn the system off or I would fly away.
Yeah.
there's been some discussion about like the variety of stuff on planets. Um, we are missing some large structures that we have seen in both like concept art as well as like giant crashed capital ships. We've seen previously in trailers um, dogfights that occur in atmosphere, and we've seen some other
Okay.
stuff. I mean, this all boils down to I wanted my infinite variety to be more, infinitely more
Yeah.
various. So, I mean, my feeling is basically, I mean, obviously, more variety, better.
Sure.
Do I enjoy the game? Absolutely. Is it is it everything that I want more? Do I need to play other video games? I I mean, I want to see them improve on the game. I want them to add more variety. I really wanted to find one of those giant crashed capital ships that we've seen in
Yeah.
screenshots. And I wanted to go in there and I wanted there to be, several, like basically a dungeon for me to
Yeah. Yeah.
clear.
That'd be cool.
Now, most of that expectation setting was me
Yeah.
because all I saw was some engines and a ship planted in the side of a mountain. The exploring for broken tech and all that stuff and loot, treasure, and all that good stuff. That's pretty much all in my mind.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't pay as much attention to the game, before it actually came out. I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations other than I didn't think it would work at all. So it works, and it's surprisingly pretty fun to play. I mean, I get the idea of, I don't know, it getting kind of boring after a while because it is a lot of the same. I mean, all the space stations are the same. There's always only one alien in any building that you go into. Nobody builds cities. I don't know why. There are no cities, any of these civilizations anywhere. Everything is a ruin. Um, but I mean, I don't. None of that's like a. I mean, none of that's a real game killer for me. It's enjoyable to just fly around in a spaceship and go to a planet and pick stuff up. All the sentinels are the same. That's kind of lame, but I mean, I still like the
I was
game.
hoping for a little bit more Sentinel
Yeah,
variety
that'd be
too.
nice.
I think there are only like three of them, and then Space Police
Yeah, there's like Flybot and Leopardbot and uh,
and
Walkerbot.
Walkerbot,
Yeah. um,
and none of them are actually all that
no,
challenging.
no, not really.
A lot of what I would complain about, if I were to complain, is basically that I want the game to be harder than it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I would like a greater variety of Sentinel. I would like to feel legitimately threatened sometimes when Sentinels are after
yeah,
me. Um, I wish if I were exploring caves that there was more of a point to doing that, other than that sometimes you find neat little trinkets
yeah,
down there. I wish sometimes I'd go down a cave and then like there's like some terrible hideous monster that just
yeah.
murders
That'd
me.
be cool.
I wish I could slam my ship into the earth.
Yeah,
I mean, like we played a lot of GTA Online. I love flying
yeah.
helicopters.
It's a good time.
I like flying planes. I like flying planes into
Yeah,
people. I feel like you can give me the ability to fly a little bit closer to the
yeah.
planet.
That'd be nice.
Uh, but overall, I'd say good game,
Absolutely.
unique
Yeah,
game,
absolutely.
and hopefully they made boatloads of money on it so they can continue to work on it for years and give us more of those things that we
Yeah,
do
I
want.
wonder. I mean, I know I've downloaded a few patches for it already, I guess. I don't know what has really changed, but I'm curious about the game's ability to add any like significant content. Um like can they add would they ever be able
Uh,
to add like I don't know, a cluster of buildings? Like maybe a village. I don't know, I would like that's the only thing that I don't really like about the game or that I'd like to see more of is like a slightly more complicated society that was procedurally generated, I guess. Um
yeah.
I don't know that that's really possible, and obviously that was not something that was ever promised. But you know,
Well, there were reports from people who played early builds of the game that you could go into these large manufacturing complexes that would have several different rooms. And I think that is more than the
yeah,
two modular things
yeah,
we've seen. Um, I mean, none of the screenshots made it out of those events. And to get to your point, can they add stuff? Well, we had the whole fiasco with a lot of people uh, getting their hands on a copy of the game before it came
yeah,
out. And there was a report that basically none of their progress was really going to count because the server was going to get reset when the game
okay,
came out. Um, from what I've gathered, that didn't exactly happen.
hmm,
And so people people who played the game early, like all of their discoveries were still there, except like the positions of the planets. One of the things they did in that first patch 1.03 when it came out was they made the distance between planets greater.
yeah, okay. I They still seem a little too close, but yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was hoping for more of a solar
yeah,
system, and I was also hoping to be able to fly my ship into a
yeah.
star, even though I realize that's also death.
It does seem
Um,
like all of the systems are in fairly imminent danger of collapse. They're just
yeah, there are lots of
yeah.
gravitational issues there. Um, but it's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, honestly, this one of the things that I was impressed at is like when I first started playing it, I realized that the planets are large, like very
Yeah.
large. But the concept that I had as very large in my head was significantly smaller than the size of the planets. Because I'm thinking, oh, planet's probably like 100 times the map of
Yeah.
GTA. And it's really more like 1,000.
I wonder if anybody's tried to like, plasma grenade their way from one side of a planet to the other.
Uh, it's my understanding that a planet has a solid core at a
Okay.
certain point, and it's only 100 or 200 meters below the average depth.
Okay.
Because I've
You tried to do it.
I've
You
plasma
tried to
grenaded
do
myself pretty
it.
deep, and the two or three times I've done it, I have hit a
Okay.
shelf that it it won't let me. So I think they're like an invincible ball with a destructible outer
Okay.
shell. But my feeling is because of those changes, and by the way, I read all the change logs. Right now, everything just says bug
Okay.
fixes, so I don't think it's anything life or death so far. Um, I think they'll be able to add things. In a way, it might seem weird if they add something and like you load up your game and suddenly like, oh, the Sears Tower's in front of me. Well, that feeling of non-immersion or unimmersion. What's the opposite of immersion?
Demersion. I don't know.
Demersion. So that feeling of playing Joe Madden 2017,
Right.
it's gonna last for a minute. But as soon as I leave that planet, anywhere that I go after that is going to be as new as it ever was before, because no one has likely ever seen it, and most likely no one ever will. So I don't know. I think they can add it afterwards, and I would be cool with them adding content afterwards, even if it kind of screws a little with, that sense that you know where everything is on a planet and that you've discovered everything that there is. Because I don't think that many people are going to spend their entire career on one planet.
I doubt it. Maybe there's one guy. If there is, I'd love to meet that
guy. He's probably going to be listening to this.
He's fucking cool.
Excellent time to plug The Hunter, a great movie made by.
There was a thread on comicbookresources.com that it's like the artist and writer showcase or whatever, I think is the title of the thread, and somebody put a post in there for like aspiring filmmakers. And so there's only like 4 freaking posts in there by probably 3 people altogether. And I posted The Hunter in there, and I think maybe it got like 1 extra view out of that. So somebody, I guess what I'm trying to say is that somebody that we don't know at all has actually seen that by now. So
oh my gosh,
that's exciting stuff.
And they're better for it, because that was quite an amazing movie. But that's not on our subject of things to talk about. I think we burnt through it. Both of our opinions are more or less the same on everything that we talked about today.
Maybe this is just the inaugural episode. It's been nice. It's been agreeable. I imagine it will be more combative as these episodes go on and we are more comfortable with this arrangement.
Yeah, the fuck yous come later. Anyway, thank you, anyone who made it to this point.
Thanks.
We will see you again on the next Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast, episode number 2.